What is the theme of the week, Robin?
I am glad that you asked. So, everybody, no more excuses. You are going to be hiking. You are going to be experiencing the great outdoor of the South Island of New Zealand during your holiday. We have prepared a long list of amazing hikes and walks to do on the South Island that will take you from the deep rainforest of the Fjorden National Park to the top of the mountains in the Southern Alps, and we're going to cover all level of fitness, all length of hikes, so plenty of inspiration for you to be able to experience the best that New Zealand has to offer. And so yeah, we're going to go over all that this week. Fun times. Okay, all right, Laura, shall we begin a little bit with some maybe about the five first hikes that you have on top of your mind on the South Island of New Zealand?
Let's go.
All right, Laura, get us going.
All right, first off, let's talk about a nice, short, easy walk to Castle Hill, or the official name is the Kura Tawhiti Access Track. And this is to some amazing boulders, some sort of these huge rocks that are sticking out of the green landscape. And it's just a really sort of obscure and different landscape to check out on a short walk.
So this walk is only about 20 minutes one way, so that's 40 minutes both way. The distance is 1.4 kilometers, which is 0.9 miles. And it's obviously in Castle Hill, as Laura said, in the Canterbury region of the South Island of New Zealand.
Moving on to a much longer walk, more of a 5-day, multi-day hike. This is the St. James Walkway, which is located in the Lewis Pass near Hanmer Springs. And if you're looking for, you know, that multi-day hiking experience, but it's not too challenging, it's mostly flat, easy terrain to follow, then this is a really good hike for you.
So as Laura mentioned, that's the first multi-day hike we're going to be mentioning today. So this is about 5 days, distance of 66 kilometers, which is 41 miles. And it's in the Lewis Pass in Canterbury yet again.
Next up, we have the Pelorus Bridge Tracks. So if you want to check out some scenery that was used in the Hobbit trilogy that was filmed in New Zealand, then the Pelorus River is where a lot of that was filmed. And there's some really short walks where you can enjoy some really amazing scenery. Or if you just want to spend the whole day there, then you can do a multi-hour hike there as well.
So there is a lot of different walks there, as Laura's mentioned. So it ranges from about 45 minutes to 4 hours return. So you got really all kind of distances between 1.7 kilometers, which is 1 mile, to 14 kilometers, which is 8.7 miles. And the best place for you to get started is in the small township of Havelock, which is in Marlborough.
Next up, we have a very famous walk on the South Island, which is the Roy's Peak Track. This is located near the town of Wanaka, although you'll need to get a shuttle or your own transport to get there. And it's pretty much a full day hike, 5 to 6 hours return, mostly starting off going on farmland, and then at the end of the walk is the view opens up onto this amazing lake and mountain scenery.
All right, and so that length of walk is about 5 to 6 hours return, depending on how good you are going uphill really early morning to catch that beautiful sunrise. The distance is 16 kilometers, which is 9.9 miles, so 10 miles basically. And as Laura said, it starts in Wanaka. All right, number 5, Laura.
And going back to some shorter walks that you can do as you're making your way down the west coast of the South Island. And this is the Ship Creek Walks. So a really good walk there is along the boardwalks where you can go over sand dunes, get some really amazing coastal scenery. There's also a little bit of a tower that you can climb up a ladder and get the views up this sort of in this lookout as well, which is quite cool.
All right, so 20 minutes, half an hour maximum return, 800 meters long, so it's 875 yards. And yeah, it's in Haast in the west coast. Let's go over 5 more hikes on the South Island that you should absolutely check out. Laura, get us started.
Yeah, so another one is to mention is a nice short one as well, and it's the Hokitika Gorge Walk. So this is mainly the main attraction of this is to see some super blue water traveling down a beautiful river gorge scenery. It's just a perfect photo stop, and it's only an hour of a loop walk, or you can make it shorter by simply going down to the gorge and returning back the same way. Very easy one to do as you're cruising down the west coast.
So as Laura mentioned, if you want to do the full loop, it's about an hour. However, if you just want to go check out one of the main viewpoints, which is just about like 5 minutes past the swing bridge, it will take you about 25 minutes to 30 minutes going back and forth, so you can make it quite short. Anyway, the full loop distance is 2 kilometers, which is 1.2 miles, and you get started at the township of Hokitika, fittingly enough, on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand.
Next up, we have the Humpridge Track, which is a multi-day hike, and this one is actually teed up to be one of the next great walks of New Zealand. So yeah, it is located at the bottom of the South Island in the Fiordland National Park, and features some beautiful coastal scenery, forest, a mix of lots of different sceneries, and yeah, it's an epic hike.
So this hike is about 3 days long. It takes you through about 61 kilometers of track, which is 37.9 miles, and you get started in the township of Tuatapere, which is very small in the Southland region. Moving on.
Moving on, we have Lake Matheson, which is a very nice, easy-going walk around a beautiful lake near Fox Glacier, where the water is super reflective. You get to see, on a clear day, the mountains reflecting off the lake as well. Beautiful rainforest as you're hiking through alongside the lake as well.
Okay, so the distance right here is 2.6 kilometers long, which is 1.6 miles. Doing both distances, sometimes I get confused. It will take you about an hour and a half to do the full loop, and yeah, you get started from the township, which is in Fox Glacier on the west coast, and we'll see more of this hike a little bit later in the video.
Next up, we have the Rakaya Gorge Track, which is in the Canterbury region, and this takes you along a beautiful, really milky blue river. There's lots of different things to see along the way. You can see sort of like the entrance of old mining shafts and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Go through a mix of forest, and if you want to spice up the hike a bit, you can basically go up the river on a jet boat one way and return by hiking the track the other way, which is a really cool way to do it, and we do have a video of us doing that on the channel.
Alright, so this is 3 to 4 hours return. As a walk, it's 10.4 kilometers long, which is 6.5 miles, and you start in the township of Methven, which is in the Canterbury region.
Next up, we have the Muller Hut route, which is located in the Mount Cook National Park. It is a pretty steep hike to do. You are making your way quite high up into the mountains, but it is very rewarding as well. You get to see really some of the most dramatic mountainous scenery in New Zealand, so it's definitely worth doing if you've got the legs for it.
Alright, it's 4 hours one way, and it's a steep 5.2 kilometers and 3.2 miles. And the location for a start is Mount Cook, which is in Canterbury. Alright everybody, we are gonna go over a lovely little video together, and we'll tell you a little bit about how easy some of the hikes in New Zealand can be. Laura, take it away.
Yeah, so the one that we're looking at right here is the Lake Matheson walk, which we just talked about. It is a very easy loop around a walkway, and what you'll around a lake, and what you'll find in New Zealand is a lot of the walks are very well formed. They're very well maintained. It's impossible to get lost a lot of the time. As you can see from the video, the trails are just like very smooth, and you don't have to be a hardcore hiker to enjoy them. And a lot of the time they take you to some very amazing sights and viewpoints. They'll usually take you to a certain attraction that you can just enjoy for free of charge. So yeah, that's one of the main, that's why we're always recommending to do hikes and walks in New Zealand. Even if you are a little bit intimidated by the word hiking or doing walks, it's really not as hardcore as a lot of people might think. You just have to have a look at some track descriptions and see what is involved, but a lot of the time they are very short walks and very easy to do.
Yeah, so we really often hear, especially from Americans, saying, oh, I can't do a hike, it's just too much, it's too strenuous and everything. But seriously, just look at what's on screen right now. It is seriously easy, very well marked. Obviously, that's not all the tracks in New Zealand. Usually when they're called trails or this kind of routes, usually they're a bit more intense. But when they're just called walks, it is pretty easy. So this one that we're looking at is the Lake Matheson hike. And so yeah, even when you're at the viewpoint, it's super well bordered. It's just very, very, very well maintained hikes and tracks. So just do make sure that you include some hikes on your itinerary.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, should we do a few more hikes?
Absolutely.
All right, Laura, take it away.
All right, next up on the South Island, we have the Oparara Arch. That is a lot of raras, but the Oparara Arch is an amazing but really underrated place to go experience some walks in New Zealand. It's located on the west coast, but really high up north on the west coast near Karamea. And the main attraction there is the Oparara Arch itself, which is one of the largest limestone archways in Australasia. But there's also a lot of shorter tracks to do there as well, where you can see smaller caves.
All right, so this hike is about 2 kilometers long, which is 1.2 miles. And yeah, it will take you about 50 minutes, under an hour to kind of go there, come back, take a few photos and everything. And you will get started in Karamea, which is located on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand.
Next up, we have the Copland Track to Welcome Flat Hot Pools, which is located off the road near Fox Glacier. This is a bit of a long walk. Usually people do this as a sort of overnight trail sometimes, because there is a hut there that you can stay in overnight. Or if you are pretty hardcore, you can do it all in one day. But the main attraction for this is you're going into the mountains, and then towards the end, you come across some natural hot pools that you can bathe in.
And so that will take you about 7 hours one way. So if you want to do return, that's 14 hours, right? So keep that in mind. That's about 18 kilometers long, which is 11.2 miles. And yeah, as Laura said, it starts in beautiful Fox Glacier.
Next up, we have the Lake Rotoiti Circuit, which is in the Nelson Lakes National Park. And Lake Rotoiti is the easiest of the Nelson lakes to access, and this walk goes all the way around the lake. Really beautiful scenery with lots of forest, mountains, beautiful lake views, and it's a full day adventure. So yeah.
So Lake Rotoiti walks is quite long, as Laura was saying. So it will take you 7 to 10 hours. The distance is 23 kilometers. So that's 14.3 miles. And if you take the river crossing, so if you actually are able to cross that river, if you count, it's 31 kilometers long, which is 19.3 miles. And there is a swing bridge instead. You get started in St. Arnaud in Nelson.
Next up, we have a walk in Akaroa. This is the Children's Bay Walkway. And what's really cool about this walk is it's a little bit different. Although you are getting lots of amazing scenery of the Akaroa Harbour as you're hiking along, there's also a few artwork pieces to admire along the way, usually hiding in the bushes or hiding in the fields. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool hidden surprises. But if you want to spoil the surprise for yourself, then you can check out our video of the Children's Bay Walkway here on YouTube.
All right, so between an hour to 3 hours, depending how long you're making the walk for yourself, there's a lot of different length that you can be doing. But the main one is 2.4 kilometers, which is 1.5 miles. And as Laura said, you start in beautiful Akaroa.
Next up, we have the Mount Roberts Circuit, which is another one in the beautiful Nelson Lakes National Park, mostly traversing around Lake Rotoiti again. So it's an alternative to the one that I just mentioned. But this one is, it's easier to do as a sort of half-day hike or full-day hike. So more beautiful lake and mountain scenery.
All right, so as Laura mentioned, this one will be way shorter. So that's about 5 hours return. So it's 5 hours in total getting back to your car. The distance is about 9 kilometers, which is 5.6 miles, and it's located in St. Arnaud on the South Island of New Zealand. Okay, so Fabio says, what is your favorite short walk on the South Island of New Zealand?
Short walk.
Short. Hokitika Gorge for me.
Ooh, yeah. I was going to say the Oparara Arch.
Yeah, that's true. That's really awesome.
That area is amazing.
It's a short walk in itself, but it's very long to get there.
Yeah. But there's so many different short walks just from that one area. You can go and see lots of different things. And if people had more time while traveling on the South Island, it is definitely worth the trip to go up there. But obviously you don't want to do just one short walk once you get there. You want to do them all.
Azewara says bright sunshine here in Otago. Ooh. Awesome, nice one. and says, "What a good day! I hope that you guys are doing well. We're doing
Yeah,
fabulous.
we're doing
So,
great.
which Otago hike will you be doing? I have one in mind. Guess what?
Yeah.
Which Otago hike will you be doing today on this beautiful sunny Sunday? Let us know right now, Azewara. And
Yeah.
Fabio also says, what kind of gear do we need for each and every walk in New Zealand?
Well, first of all, he would say hiking boots.
Yes.
But we would just say, just a good pair of walking shoes at least. Ideally
And
waterproof.
Water.
And
for
water,
sure.
yes. Take plenty of
Yeah.
water with you on all walks. Anything? Hat? Oh, we're still listing some stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. I was just about to say hi. We will do another batch. I was just trying to finish drinking. Thank you
Sorry.
very much for putting me on the spot right now, Laura. You're proud of yourself, aren't you?
Didn't know where we were heading next there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Should we do 5 more hikes?
Seems to be what I'm leaning towards.
All right. Let's get you started with 5 more hikes on the South Island of New Zealand that Laura enjoys.
Next up, we have the Queen Charlotte track, which is a multi-day hike at the very top of the South Island. You can do this either as a mountain biking track, or you can do it on your own 2 feet. It's, like I say, multi-day, but instead of staying in the usual dock huts, you do have options to stay in actual like resort accommodations, something a little bit, if you want to have more of a sort of fancier hiking experience, that is possible on this on the Charlotte track, Queen Charlotte track. So.
Yes, and you can hike it and bike it, and the time length is 3 to 5 days to do it. The distance is 71 kilometers, which is 44 miles, and yeah, you get started from Picton, then you take the boat to the actual start point, which is the historic Ship Cove Bay.
Cove.
All right, and next one, Laura.
Next up, we have the Hooker Valley track.
Pretty popular one.
Very famous track. A lot of people do it. It's located in the beautiful Mount Cook National Park, and you get to see lots of beautiful mountain scenery, cross some cool swing bridges, and then at the end, the sort of spectacle is the beautiful Muller Glacier and a beautiful glacier lake.
3 hours return. The distance is 10 kilometers, which is about, I think it's about, I don't know this one, about 6 miles, we'll say. And
Yeah,
it's Mount
that's
Cook,
correct.
Canterbury.
Well done, Robin.
Moving on.
Next up, we have this is a pretty tough hike. This is Avalanche Peak. That is located in the Arthur's Pass National Park. It's called the Avalanche Peak Route, meaning that the trail is a little harder to follow. Usually they have marked poles that you basically need to travel from one pole to the other and see if you can see the next pole and head in that direction. This is a really steep track. You are getting ready basically for a 1,100 meter climb. That's 3,600 foot climb. But the views are amazing and rewarding if you are there on a clear day.
6 to 8 hours to do that epic climb, 6.4 kilometers, which is 4 miles. I know this one. Arthur Pass National Park is where you get started. Laura, what's next?
Next up, we have the Blue Pools track. This is located in the Haast Pass when you're traveling between Haast on the west coast and Wanaka in the Otago region. And this is a nice short walk taking you to some beautiful, really crystal clear blue water in amazing river gorge scenery with a cool swing bridge on the way.
Okay, so this one is 1 hour return, about 3 kilometers, which is about 2 miles, and you get started in Wanaka. It's just the easiest place to get started from, which is, in the South Island, obviously. Next up, we have the Cape Foulwind Walkway, which is located in Westport on the west coast of the South Island. And the main feature of this walk is seeing a really cool and cute seal colony. very cute.
Very cute. There's also a lighthouse and lots of amazing coastal scenery. You can either do just a short section of the walk, but it is a one-way walk, so there's 2 car parks on either end.
All right, so it's 1 hour and 15 minutes long one way. So you've got to decide either you're traveling with 2 cars and you put 1 car in each end and you can make it just 1 hour and 15 minutes, or you've got to do the return one. So the distance is 3.4 kilometers, 2.1 miles, and the location, the best way to start from is Westport on the west coast.
for sure.
Okay, so should we talk about a couple of more walks, Laura?
Yes, I love talking about walks.
All right, Laura, get us started.
All right, next up we have a nice easy walk, which is the Milford Foreshore Walk. And if you want to basically get some amazing shots of Milford Sound, but maybe you don't want to take a cruise, then this is the good alternative to do.
And I would like to point out that it also gives you some really cool reflective kind of places to take your photos and everything. So it's not necessarily because you don't take the cruise, it's on top of taking the cruise. Because it's very, very short. It's 30-minute loop. And when we say 30-minute loop, you can do it in 15 very easily. 400 meters long for the whole walk. That's 437 yards only. So yeah, get in and do that.
And the next hike we have is a pretty hardcore hike to do in the similar area in the Fiordland National Park, which is the Holyford Track. This is a multi-day hike going deep into the wilderness of the Fiordland National Park. It's a one-way track. So what a lot of people do is they go do the whole hike, which is very long just for a one-way hike, and then they take a helicopter out. But even hardcore people will then take the return journey of multiple days, which Robin will tell us how long that is now.
It is 4 to 5 days for the whole journey.
One way.
Yep, 4 to 5 days one way. Yes, Laura. You're not on screen. I don't know why you keep screaming. We don't want to hear you scream. 56 kilometers long, which is 35 mile-ish, and it's in the Fiordland National Park.
Yeah, and Fabio is saying in the live chat that it's so cool. So yeah, it is a really cool hike. It is amazing wilderness hike, but it's one best left to like the serious hardcore hikers. Next up, we have something not quite so serious and hardcore, which is the centre of New Zealand. This is located in the city of Nelson. It's a very nice, easy, but uphill walk. It's mostly uphill and taking you to the geographical centre of New Zealand.
Okay, so that is, as Laura's mentioned, a very easy walk. So 20 to 40 minutes one way, 800 meters uphill, 875 yards. It's in Nelson Tasman region. Next up, Laura.
Next up, we have the Ben Lomond track, which is the sort of main hike, like actual sort of full day hike that you can find in the immediate Queenstown area. You start the hiking trail from the top of the gondola in Queenstown, and this will take you to see some amazing mountain scenery, the beautiful Lake Wakatipu, and get some awesome photos.
All right, so if you just do the Ben Lomond saddle, it will take you 3 to 4 hours one way. Or if you go all the way to the summit, that will take you 6 to 8 hours one way. The distance for the saddle alone is 11 kilometers, which is 6.8 miles. And as Laura mentioned, start in Queenstown. Next up,
we have the Kaikoura Peninsula Walkway. This is a good walk to see seals, and that's pretty much the main attraction of this walk. Very beautiful seal colonies, multiple seal colonies you can see along the way. Sometimes there's seals on the track, which you should keep your distance and, walk around at a respectful distance as to not scare the seals. You can do a quick walk up to the first viewpoint, or you can do the complete loop around the Kaikoura Peninsula.
Okay, and no joke, it can be a 5-minute walk. Depending on where you park, it can be a 5-minute walk, or it can be a 3-hour loop. So you get a wide range of distances right here between 200 meters, which is 218 yards, to 11.7 kilometers, which is 7.3 miles. I told you, big difference right here. And as Laura said, well, it's called the Kaikoura Peninsula Walkway, so it starts in Kaikoura. All right, so there is plenty more walk. There is actually 50 of them in the link in the description below, so check this one out because, yeah, we do like to have a lot of information written with photos of all those hikes and all that. So, yeah, check that out if you want.